Hey guys, today I wanted to share with you how I use smart objects in Photoshop to make my listing photos for my website. I'm going to be showing you two things. So if you look here, I have two separate files in Photoshop that are showing the same sheets. This is a mini kit for the new Salem kit that is coming out in our shop tomorrow. Or if you're on the email list, it's already out, but that's beside the point. But yeah, as you can see, the same sheets are on the screen. So they're just in kind of like different layouts. I want to show you how I have used smart objects to link both of these, and meaning that like I only have to like change them in one file. So that might sound a little bit confusing. My words are not great right now. Articulating things are pretty difficult for me right now, but hopefully after I show you this example, it will make a little bit more sense. So bear with me. So I'm going to start by making a new file in Photoshop. I just have Photoshop CC because I just pay for it monthly, but it's totally up to you what one, if you want to just like buy it outright or whatever. I make all of my pictures into squares. So for this example, I mean, this isn't a set in stone example. You can make them whatever size you want. I just used 2500 by 2500, 600 pixels per inch. So I just create that. And then the way that I do it, I have a Mac. So I save all of my silhouette files as PDFs as soon as I create them, and that's how I print my files, just because it's a lot quicker for me. So this process will be a little bit different for PCs, but I'm going to be asking Paige to take a look at this video before I set it live, and hopefully I'll have like in the description like if there's anything different, I can let you guys know down in the description. So definitely check that out. But how I do it anyway, I'm going to use this Graze sheet. So this is what a sheet looks like when I save it as a PDF. It just looks like what it looks like in Silhouette, but the cut lines aren't there. So what I do is I right click it and I say open it in Photoshop. I've never changed any of these settings, so I'm not sure if they're going to be the same for you, but I just hit OK. And then it opens up the sheet in Photoshop. So to start out, what I do is I crop the sheet to kind of like where I would cut it after it's cut, like where I would cut like the physical sheet. So I just crop that, then I'm just going to crop it again. And you can just press C on your keyboard for like a shortcut for crop. So I crop it into this sheet, which is the functional sheet, and then what I do is I drag it into this file. So I drag it into this file, and then you don't want to do anything with it yet. So what you want to do is you want to come over to your layers panel, right click on your layers panel, and hit convert to smart object. Now you want to do that before you do anything, before you rotate it, before you add a shadow to it, before you do anything like that. Because it won't work right if you don't convert it first. So now I can go ahead and I can twist it. Like this is what I normally do. I twist it and then I go down to this FX panel and I do a drop shadow just so that you can see the sheet. You can play around with like how deep this is or anything like that, like depending on your personal preference. I'm going to keep it at around 20%. You can also change the angle and stuff like that. I don't really play around too much with that. And then I'm going to hit OK. So this is basically like if you're just going to have one file for all of your listings and you only want to worry about one file, you can end here with your smart object, but I go a step further. So I right click on the layer again and I hit convert to linked. So what you want to do is you want to save it. So I'm just going to save it as functional sheet. I've made this folder on my desktop called linked smart objects. So you just want to save it as functional sheet, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to step backwards one, and then I'm going to crop this sheet. I'm just going to show you kind of how I will do it for both. Drag this in here. Again, right click on that layer, convert to smart object, and then you can do your thing with rotating it and adding a shadow to it, doing whatever you want with it. and then we are good to go. So now I'm going to convert this to a linked file. I'm going to name that full boxes and save. So this is kind of like what I would consider like my main pictures thing. I do have like a no white space main picture, and I do have a white space main picture. So this is like what I would consider my like main image for my listing. But what I don't want to do is like, I want everything to be uniform, right? So I would save this as a file in and of itself, and then I would just use this for all of my main pictures. I mean, this kit would have more sheets, so I would add the other sheets that it had. Like if it was a white space kit, I would add the other sheets behind it and just kind of play around with like the layout that I want it to be, but you kind of get the idea. So I would save this as its own file. And then what I do is I make another file, but let me create this. I'm going to create it with the same specs. Actually, I think I might do it 4,000, and I will show you why. So yes, basically I would create another file because as you saw in the beginning, I have two files. So I don't want to have to like open this file and then do all of this with the main picture and then like start having to like move sheets around and like get it to look right and stuff like that. I want everything to be uniform, right? So I don't have to move anything in this file now, but I want to make a like listing file. So like when you click through the listing and you see like the multiple pictures, that's what I want to make now. So instead of having to crop and like do all of that stuff again and then having to like go over it again, what you want to do is you want to go to File and then Place Linked. So I'm going to find wherever I saved my linked files that I made before and place my full boxes. So you can twist, place. I'm going to add a drop shadow to that. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add my other linked item. So I'm going to add the functional sheet. And again, I'm just going to twist it. I mean, you can do it whatever way you want, like I said, but I just think it looks nice when it has a little bit of movement to it, you know? And then add that drop shadow. So now, instead of like having to crop and place and drop shadow every single sheet again and again and again for all of your kits, you can just change one. So let's say we go back to this main file, the one that we were working on before. You double click on this picture, and if you look here, I'm double clicking on kind of like the mini picture of that kit, and you can like rename these. If you double click layer 2, you can rename it like full boxes sheet, and then you can rename this to functional sheet, just so it's easier for you to kind of like work with. So you double click on that little picture, and it pulls up this fullboxes.psb. So this is what we're going to change. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to open up a new one, a new page 1, I mean. My robot vacuum just turned on, but we're almost done. So now we have another sheet. It's the same exact layout as the Grey's Anatomy kit, but it's a different kit. I use the same layout for all of my kits. I just changed the colors so that it's easier to cut and also easier to use smart objects to make my listings. So instead of having to crop this, all you have to do is drag this into the full boxes section, line it up, and then you want to save it. So you can do file save or command save or control save, depending on what like computer you're working on. And then you'll see that it's changed here, and it's also changed here, all with that one movement. So I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to go, I mean, you don't have to do it from this file. You can do it from this second file. You double click on this little mini of the sheet, go back to the one you want to drag into it. You drag it into this functional sheet page or tab, line it up, file save or command S, and then it is changed in both of them. So it just means that like you can save this, like I've saved these as listing pics and main pics. You can just save them and then you don't have to move them around. Like so if you say, for example, I have a main collection. So I have page 1 and page 2. So the functional and full boxes, because that's what I like to have on my first page. And then I have my check boxes and little things. And then the last 3 pages. So I don't have to like take the half boxes and move it around or anything like that. Like I can just double click and change what's in there. These are kind of messed up right now. I don't know why that's doing that, but you get what I mean. But anyway, it just means that like making listing photos, like I'm not going to lie, I still hate making listing photos, but it takes a fraction of the time and everything looks uniform. So I hope this was helpful. Be sure to check out our episode of Confessions of a Girl Boss that we put up today. It's all about our favorite productivity apps, and this is why I'm actually making this video. So if you want to hear more of our favorite productivity apps, I'll leave a link down below in the description box for you to check that out. But yeah, I hope this was helpful and you're having a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.